All right, guys, let's talk about something that sucks. Getting that first job out of college is very difficult. I mean, I just got asked this question probably for the 10th or 12th time in my life. And every time I hear this question, it hurts because I was there. I think like many of us, if you're been in the industry for a while, you were there. At some point, you were there. How do you get a job with no experience? And generally the first thing I tell people is get an internship. Like that is the one mistake I made is I did not get an internship out of college. Part of this is because I did my first 2 years of college starting at 16 and ended at 18. At the same time, I was working in fine dining because that's what I thought I wanted to do. And around 20, I realized that there's no money in fine dining. So I decided to switch and finish my last 2 years of college. But because of that, I was doing my last 2 years of college. I was just grinding. I wasn't focusing on anything else. I had shutters up. I didn't really care about internships. I just wanted to get good grades and finish all of my classes. So by the end of it, I taught some kids how to program and worked in culinary arts. That was the experience on my resume that I was trying to go around and get someone to hire me. And so I totally understand how difficult it is. So it took me somewhere in the range of 9 to 10 months to even get that first job. And so whenever anyone comes to me and they're like, they've only been searching for a month or two and they're already disheartened, it hurts because I know it could be a lot more. Now, for some of you, I totally understand. Some of you have totally different challenges that I didn't have to face. I also understand some people have debt, or some people are taking care of their own parents, or there's just so many different reasons why you might need a job right away. So I understand this is a stressful time. So this video is going to be focused on giving you tips on how you can get that first job with very little experience or with no experience, just based off what I've seen and what I've experienced myself. Again, it's a challenge, and I think what's important for you guys to understand is why this is so challenging. And I'll give you again an example. I recently had to hire for a position in my own company. I have a data consulting company, and I put the position out on Indeed and got near or more than 100 applicants. It's very difficult to pick someone. So I just hope you understand that, like, if someone like me has 100 applicants, just imagine a company like Facebook or really any big company, even an insurance provider or finance company, like they're dealing with thousands of applicants possibly for one position. So I'm going to give you some tips that will hopefully make things easier, and hopefully they will help you out. Tip number one, don't focus on FAANGS. Like, I understand that FAANGS exist. I understand that they're great companies to work at. I'm not saying don't apply to these companies, but just assume they're not going to reach out to you. Again, they've probably got 1,000 applicants for one position and the likelihood of you getting picked. So I'm just saying, don't focus just on these companies. There are things like hospitals, insurance providers, local companies that might need someone that is in a data engineering or data science position that you could go to. You don't need to just focus on big tech companies. Also, startups are another great place to learn at. The big thing there is make sure you're getting paid. Unless you have the means to cover yourself, I'd always recommend not taking a job that doesn't pay you, or at least pay you fairly. I understand that startups like the idea of sweat equity, but you can't eat sweat equity. Again, sometimes you have no option. If you've got no other jobs, sure, maybe take it. But overall, always try to get paid. You deserve it. You've got schooling. And I think it's really silly if anyone doesn't pay you. And startups are a great place to learn because there's just so many different aspects and things that you'll have to take on. Honestly, next, start putting out some content on what you're learning, what you're trying to learn, maybe some website or application you're building. I usually tell people start a blog, and there's multiple reasons to start one. Yes, it's great for pointing to at least as something that shows that you're interested in a subject like data engineering or data science, but also as you go along in your career, it's something that you can point back to. I've got my Medium that's been going since somewhere in 2017. And it's pretty cool to see myself progress over the years. But it's also something you can point out to employers that are just looking for some inkling that shows that you're really interested in this position. And if you create something like a website or an application, I think it's great to have something tangible that people can see. I think another thing I also recommend is if you're really focused on getting a data science position, maybe don't focus on that first. Maybe try getting something like a data analyst position first and then moving laterally inside of a company to then move to data scientist. I think I've talked about this a few times as far as when you've looked at data science roles and how many there are out there, there just is a limited number of them. The truth is there are more data engineering roles and data analyst roles that are growing arguably faster than data science roles. And so maybe getting super stuck on becoming a data scientist first is keeping you back. I'm not saying don't apply for those jobs, but I'm also saying don't limit yourself to just being purely a data scientist. Another thing I've seen people do is go to events. This is very difficult because oftentimes if you go to events, it's a lot of other people who might also be looking for a job. And so talking to them might not provide you that much value, but you never know. You might happen to run into a hiring manager who just so happens to be looking for exactly what you can offer. On a similar note, you can also look to friends and family. Again, this is probably something you've already tried, but I wouldn't ever limit it. You probably know someone in some company, even if it's maybe not, again, your dream company, but where you can get that initial experience. I think some people get so stuck up at working a specific job with specific tooling, doing specific things, that they don't look out around them and see that there are opportunities besides just working at some sort of FAANG or big tech company, or even something like a Fortune 500 or Fortune 100 company. Again, there are tons of options. Just don't limit yourself too much. Also, don't just do one thing. I think some people, again, are so focused on like, oh, I'm just trying to apply. And that's my only thing that I'm trying to do, or I'm just trying to go to events, or I'm just trying to write articles. You really need to do everything at once because you don't know what's going to stick, especially for getting that first job. Don't be so focused again on just sending in resumes or just sending out cold emails or cold reach outs on LinkedIn that you don't write an article here and there and about what you've learned, about what you're trying to learn. You really don't know what's going to work. And I've seen a lot of different things work. Again, I've seen people take a blog article and somehow turn it into a job. I've seen people go to an event or possibly have a family friend that has, again, in turn turned into a job. So don't get too stuck on just one method. You really need to do all of it. And then here are some tips so you don't lose hope, because I think that's one other very important thing is keep track of what you're doing. Write down what you're doing on a daily basis to try to succeed. Otherwise, again, at the end of 3 months, if you're still applying and you haven't counted the fact that you've applied for 100 jobs or 1,000 jobs or whatever it might be, it might feel like you've done nothing. Or if you haven't written down how many times you've done a practice interview or how many times you've written an article or whatever it might be, then you can kind of feel very hopeless. You start losing hope. You start losing the ability to think that you're going to make it. And that can be a very dark place. And so just keep track of what you're doing. Understand that sadly, this is part of the process. And most of us have gone through it. And trust me, I've seen the memes. I've lived the memes. How do I get a job that wants 2-3 years of experience if this is an entry level job? I get it. Like, I've struggled there too. As someone who's also then tried to break into consulting, it's the same game, just all over again, right? Like, you're now playing this game where it's like you're starting a consulting company and you don't know a lot of people and no one wants to hire you, and you're having to convince people that you're worth hiring. And that's why I have over 200 articles written on data engineering, data science. So I understand what you're going through twice in 2 different areas. And I know that it's very painful and very difficult. So overall, wherever you are in your journey, I just wish you the best of luck. Just don't lose hope. I do believe, if you're out there looking for a job, you'll find one. You're not alone through whatever it is. And I really, really do hope you find that first job. Other than that, I really want to say thank you for watching. Good luck out there and goodbye.